You're listening to The Real Deal Conversations, a podcast designed to encourage, inspire, and equip you by sharing real stories and meaningful conversations that bring real life to the surface. I'm your host, Megan Deal. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Ozarks Veterinary Clinic. I am with Dr. Sue Head, Vice President, one of the Vice Presidents at College of the Ozarks. And let me give you a little backstory on how I know Sue. So I had been asked to speak at College of the Ozarks, and someone after I knew I was speaking, I had gone to a networking event. Sue happened to be there and somebody introduced me to her. Now here's the thing with Sue. Sue is one of those people to me that when you meet her, you immediately are struck by her. And I remember thinking, I need to know this woman. We had lunch at College of the Ozarks, and even more so after that day. I remember just listening. There's not many people. I don't have a large attention span, so there's not many people who can grab my attention. And so when you grab my attention, I notice it. And that's what Sue did from the moment I met her. So anyway, we had lunch, and even then, at the end of it, I remember saying, maybe it was in the middle, I said, I need you to be a mentor. Like, I just knew. Like, she's funny. She's brilliant. She's poised. She's the whole package of a strong woman that you just go, I don't care how it needs to happen, but I need her to stay in my life. So, guys.
That is overly generous.
This is Sue Head.
Well, thank you, Megan, for letting me be on your show.
Yes.
I love the title of it, Real Deal Conversations, because that's what we need these days.
Absolutely.
So I'm really looking forward to today.
I am so excited. And what we're actually going to be talking about is leadership, but really geared towards women and the different things that women can face in leadership, the different things that we can do to ourselves. We can sabotage ourselves in leadership. And one of the things I remember the first time we had lunch, I was starting mentorship, a year of mentorship under John Maxwell. And I specifically said to you, I know the people in this, I've seen the list, and I don't feel adequate. Like, I have imposter syndrome. And you just shared a personal story. And so I say all that to say, ladies who are listening, you are not alone in all the challenges that can come in leadership for a female. I feel it. There are times I still feel it. And so let's kind of start with, why do so many accomplished women still secretly feel unqualified or like they're faking it? Like I did that in that moment. Do I really belong in that room? Is the whole thing that I felt. So why, Sue? And also, let's give it some preface. How long have you been at C of O?
I came to the college 21 years ago. My handsome husband, Hayden, was a faculty member there first. Yeah. And then I came after our kids were in school. And I have loved every minute of it. Yeah. It's been great. And I get to see transformation every day. So I'm excited about sharing about that.
Yes, that's so cool. So Sue, why do you think so many accomplished women, why do you think we secretly still feel unqualified and deal with imposter syndrome?
That's a great question, Megan. I think that oftentimes we're not confident. And I tell girls that I mentor at the college, the quickest way to build confidence is to do hard things. And look, let's face it, as women, we do a lot of hard things. And so we don't need to... I had a nun who taught me when I was in school that used to always, every Friday, say, don't sell yourself short. Yeah. She said that to us every Friday. And I remember that. So I think sometimes we sell ourselves short. And I think we're thinking we don't have the qualifications, but other people will walk around thinking the same thing. And I'm going to tell you a funny story that happened just this past Saturday. Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Laura Johnson, who's the first lady of College of the Ozarks, was going to speak at a meeting that I was hosting at the college. And I had wanted her to speak at this meeting for like 3 years, and it finally worked out that she could be there. So I'm approaching the front gate of the college. There's a guardhouse, and I know the security officer who was there. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I was waving to him so big. I was so excited about the day. And before I knew it, I ran in to the gate of the college. And so fortunately, enough people do that it's actually hinged outward. So it didn't break it. But I just, for a second, sat there and I put my car in reverse. And I backed up to the security guard and I said, I am so embarrassed and I'm so sorry. He said, you have to stop every time. I go, I know. And you're probably wondering how I got this job. So it's all good. But I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I have found that just owning it and saying it can be disarming to other people. Mm-hmm. We don't have to do it perfectly. Yeah. It's so okay. In fact, people around you will be relieved when you just say, this is hard, or I messed up, or I just ran into the front gate. It's life. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to do it perfectly, and I can talk all day about that.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it's really helpful for people to see us just be real. So I love that the conversation today is a real deal.
Yes.
Conversation.
And you know what's interesting, because you say that, and I look at you as just, in my eyes, just this, you're just larger than life in my eyes. And so it's interesting that you say that, because it kind of gives me the perspective of when I'm embarrassed about something, when I feel like I just mucked it up somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at that perspective and going, wait, did anyone even notice that though? Mm-hmm. Like, does anybody even say, so it is kind of true. It's that perspective. I think everything's so much, it's more inflated in our mind, and everybody else is just looking like, oh, that's Sue, or that's Megan, or that's Sarah,
or that's life.
Susie,
oh, I'm so glad to see her mess up.
Yeah.
Not in a vindictive way, but gosh, like, because I mess up all the time.
Exactly.
And listen, if you want to just talk about messing up, we could be here all afternoon, because I could tell you so many stories.
Okay,
they're so embarrassing.
Please share the story about Newt Gingrich?
Oh,
please.
So Speaker Newt Gingrich was visiting campus. Mm-hmm. And he is brilliant and a multitasker extraordinaire. Mm-hmm. So we had picked him up at the landing strip in Harrison, Arkansas. So I'm riding in the back seat with him, and his aide is in the front, and there's a highway patrolman who's driving. So and he's asking me a million questions. But as we're getting closer to campus, I wanted to tell him a little bit about our then president. And so anyway, so I said, hey, I just want to tell you something about our president who you're about to meet. Let me just share a story. And I said, years ago, there was this really cheesy Las Vegas entertainer named Newt Gingrich. And he came to town and he opened a theater, and I felt this tap on my arm. And I looked at him, and he, with a smirk on his face, just pointed to himself and he said, I'm Newt Gingrich. And I went, so I just sat there and I could not think of the person's name I was meant to say. Yeah. And finally I said, oh, no, it was Wayne Newton. And he said, I've been called a lot of things in my life, but I have never been confused with Wayne Newton. So we came through the front gate. I was so embarrassed. But he said, hey, do you want to be on Hannity tonight? And I was like, wow, well, yeah, the college, that would be great. And he said, no, it'll be Greta. And I said, okay. So he told his aide, call the producer, da-da-da. So we're driving down the hill. The cows are out. It's a beautiful day. We're going to the president's office. We turn a corner, and there's this big pickup truck with a long bass boat on it. And so at that moment, he said to me, I bet it's not too hard to get a truck around here. And I said, oh, no, we've got hundreds of miles of shoreline. There's great fishing here. And he tapped me on the arm again. And he said, I was talking about a satellite truck. And I was like, of course. I thought, you must think I am Ellie Mae Clampett and you don't know where you have been. But you know what? We still, to this day, text each other. Yeah. I'm sure he thought, bless your heart, I don't know how you got this job. I could write a book called, I don't know how people write things. How did you get that job? Anyway, we had fun the rest of the time because it just happened.
Yeah.
And I felt silly, and he thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. And I think too, it's that just realness of people that connects people too.
Yeah.
It makes friendship happen instead of just stuffy colleague event. Because who knows? I mean, I say that like when you're real and you're authentic, it's more personal. It's more comfy. It's more relatable. And you're like, we can be friends for life because we're just human, as opposed to this is here for work. This is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make
And
sense?
Megan, here's the beautiful thing. To be your authentic self requires the least amount of energy. It is who you are. And to have to put on or be some way just requires a lot of energy.
Yeah. And what would you say to our listeners, our female listeners who just heard you say that and said, yeah, but what if my authentic self is weird? What if they're struggling with low confidence? And, what if nobody likes my authentic self though? What if I have to keep masking? What would you say to them?
Just what I've learned in my life. So I'm 60 and I have learned that when we share our authentic self, we don't have to overshare, but when we share the things that are hard or we struggle with or things that punch our buttons or, whatever, it actually, in my experience, has made better friendships with other women. Because let's face it, it can be kind of a perfection curated competition. That requires a lot of energy.
Yes.
And sometimes people are just hoping or relieved to hear you say, I mess up all the time.
Yes. Yes.
I mess up all the time. People who have strong personalities like I do, sometimes we will run over people and not even realize it. And somebody later may say to me, I think you may have hurt so-and-so's feelings in that meeting because I think they were trying to say something. And we are responsible for cleaning up messes. And the best thing you can do is go straight to that person. Don't even stop to think about it. Just go straight to them. Can't tell you how many times I've had to do this. And say, hey, listen, in that meeting, I think you were trying to say something and I just railroaded over you. And I hope you'll forgive me.
Yeah. And that's so powerful too. And I think that's so refreshing. I am the same way. I'm a very strong personality. And I called a realtor's assistant one time. This was several years ago. And I'll never forget this. It wasn't even geared towards her, but I did not say anything. I did not say what I needed to say in a nice way. Again, it was not geared towards her. And I remember I called her and I said, hey, that was not about you. That was me, and I am sorry. And I didn't even, it was my only interaction with her. Yeah. But she does not need to carry my bad day or my strong personality because at the time it really wasn't about, when the train is moving. And sometimes, most of the time, I don't take a moment to slow down. And I have to go back and I have to, like you said, I do. But I think that's powerful. And I think that builds more trust with people is, oh, she's willing to admit when she's wrong.
So imagine when this person left the meeting with me or this person got off the phone with you, thought, oh, gosh, that one very nice. But when you circle back around and say, hey, I blew it, Megan, I blow it all the time. But I try to keep short accounts. And try to fix messes so that it doesn't fester. Yeah. Because that's where it can get really. Yeah. Then you kind of put on dark Stevie Wonder glasses and you start interpreting everything the other person does with your dark glasses on.
Yeah. You actually told me that one time. I called you with a situation and you said, Megan, sometimes we can have dark colored glasses on and we're interpreting it wrong.
We begin to assume.
Yep. And I was like, okay, perspective. And then I took a few steps back and it was good.
There you go.
So, all right, there is a silent pressure many women carry. The need to get it all right before stepping out. Now, I am a perfectionist. I like to know that if I think it's going to fail, I don't even want to start it. But I have learned personally taking risk is more rewarding. It took me until probably 30, I'm about to be 38 in November. So I would say about 33 is when I really started developing that shift in mindset of I'm not holding back anymore. If it fails, it fails, fine. but it will always fail if I don't even try.
Yeah.
But we're not all there. And sometimes I do struggle still being a perfectionist, being a high achiever, being a strong personality, on the train, off the train. Yeah, the train is always moving. So let's unpack how perfectionism holds us back and how striving for excellence, not perfection, is what makes great leaders and kind of help women through that.
Well, as a person of faith, this is how a shift occurred for me regarding perfectionism. Because when we look in Scripture, God did not use the, quote, perfect people. That would be the Sanhedrin. The people who were doing everything, following perfectly. He didn't use the perfect people to do his greatest work. When we look in Scripture, he used the messy and broken. And it's story after story of the messy and broken he used to do his greatest work. So if your life is not perfect, if you have a child that's wandered off the reservation, if you're having difficulty in your marriage, it doesn't mean he can't use you. In fact, if we tried to do everything in our own strength, we would never get the pleasure of seeing what he can do for us.
That's so good.
So I used to be a perfectionist, and I spent a lot of time and energy perfecting, curating. And when I realized people didn't want to confide in me or approach me because it all looked so perfect, I began to get real. And it makes you much more approachable.
What would you say to women who heard that and they're like, okay, I would like to get more real. I would like to step into that. But they're also afraid that somebody is going to use that against them and hurt them.
So that person has no power over you. So don't give it to them. They don't. We can spend so much time worrying about what other people think. And here's the deal. They're really not thinking very much about you. No. We think everybody is thinking about us, and they're just not. I don't know if you've noticed, life is very full and very crazy.
Yes.
So we can brood over things. Yeah. I can remember in college, my roommate Avery, who was very logical, wouldn't be high on the emotional scale. And I was super high on the emotional scale and not very logical. And I got off the phone call with someone, and I turned to Avery and I said, just bothering me. Do you think that she misunderstood what I said about blah, blah, blah? And she looked at me and she said, girl, they hadn't thought about it again. And don't you? And I was like, and so we were roommates for 4 years, and we were very good for each other because we pulled each other towards the middle.
I like to think too, one of the ways that I remind myself, because even if somebody, does say something or they do use, because it's the real deal conversations. Every episode is me sharing something vulnerable and raw in order to connect with people who need to have that connection. And so I allow myself to shed a little bit in order to help even one, right? So, and sometimes it does feel like I am the naked student dream in front of a class. And I'm like, ooh, that felt a little more exposed than, but this is the way I think of it, is God has my whole life mapped out. A moment that hurts, or a moment that feels icky, or a moment where somebody may have, used something that I said against me. And I remind myself, Megan, that's just a speck of sand in the picture that God has over my life. And I go, it's much easier. For me, I don't know what it is about that helps me, but it does. And I just go, wait a minute, that's just a speck of sand in the whole long picture. I'm not going to waste what God has for me over a tiny speck of sand.
Yeah.
And that helps me move forward a lot easier. Also, having people that I can contact and go, perspective, or, hey, do you think, and I've done this too, where somebody has said something to me, and I'm real big on perspective. And so I will message somebody that I think is wise, and I'll say, hey, this was said. Am I reading into this? Do you think I need to further pursue anything? And they'll say, no, I think you're reading into it. And I'll just go, oh, okay. And then I'll move on. But I really do think it's important for us to get outside perspective with some things before we actually fly off the handle. Because so many times, like that one time it was either a text or called you and you said, Megan, we can have rose-colored glasses sometimes. And I was like, okay, I'm not wasting the rest of my energy today. She didn't see it the way I saw it. We are moving on from it. I think perspective is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think we all need it, but we need a safe circle of people to do life with. And the people who are honoring and honest are safe to have in our circle. Because look, we need people to call us out sometimes, and it doesn't feel very good. If you're familiar with the Enneagram, I'm a 3.
I'm a 2.
But I have a 2 wing.
Okay. Yeah.
And so sometimes somebody we use that. We used that before the college. And sometimes when something happens, I go, oh, my 2 wing is in a sling. Ow. That kind of hurt. But it was true.
Yeah.
And it was honest. So I'm grateful.
Yeah.
For that.
And
we can't fix what we do not know.
Right. And we don't know everything. And sometimes, I could just be extra sensitive one day for various factors. Something happened and that other factor intertwined. And that's when I have to go. And actually my exact text was, hey, I'm a little emotional today already. And I just saw this person said this. Am I filtering this through the emotion of this other incident, or is this actually real?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's good because it is true. We don't know everything. Sometimes we do filter, no matter what age, no matter how, because we're so very human.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for people to hear that. I also think, and I'm going to add this in here, because some women just heard it's important to have, a trustworthy circle who, not everybody has that. And some women are finding and searching for that.
Yeah.
So, I will tell you, before I give that to Sue, I will tell you, I am one who has not always been this way. In the last couple of years, I started becoming this way because I was desperate for a circle. And at that point, for a long time, I was going, Lord, will you just send me a circle? Like, will you just make it obvious? Well, he's going to send you women, but unless you verbalize, hey, I want you in my circle, or hey, would you be a mentor? It's not going to happen. I mean, it's like that lifeboat thing. It's going to send you a lifeboat, but until you reach out for it.
Yeah.
And so I just started, it feels weird. I'm going to let you know, it feels weird. It feels uncomfortable. Even when I talked to Sue at lunch, and I was like, will you be a mentor? Will you be somebody in my life who I can, it is weird because there is that fear of like, what if she says no, but it was worth it. So what would you say?
You know how I counteract that thing you just said? I was afraid she was going to say no. This is a technique I use because I used to be very hypersensitive. But if I give permission to the person, like, hey, I'm going to ask you a question, and if you don't have time, it's just completely fine. Please say no. That's different than just putting the question out there, grimacing, hoping they're going to say yes or no, and then being a little offended when they say no.
Yeah.
Because you've given them permission. So that's something I've used in my life, being very sensitive, that's helped me as I go, look, I'm going to ask you something, and you're free to say no.
Yeah.
And then when they say no, I'll go, okay.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me.
Oh, that's good. I like that. So what would you say outside of that, in addition to that, what would you say to women in finding their circle? What are some tips or encouragement that you would give them, or who to look for?
Yeah. I would say that when you're with people, you notice those who are real and those who aren't. So I would look for people who are real, who are honest about struggles, perhaps have some experience under their belt. That's been helpful to me. My circle's not huge, but it's very safe. And I think more than anything, you've got to have people that you trust, that they aren't going to, offer this up as a prayer request, which can be sometimes a code for, I'm really gossiping, but I'm going to make it sound good.
Yeah.
You've got to have those people that you feel really safe with. And so looking for those people, it might be an extended family member. If you're involved in a church, that's a place where you may find someone, or in the workplace, but I would just be observant and say whose values seem to align with mine. It's not going to be a perfect match every time, but who do I feel comfortable and safe with? And you don't, trust is built over a long period of time. So it's not like you're just going to jump in after one conversation. That may happen occasionally, but I would be looking for that. And if you're a person of faith, praying for that, and then stick your antenna up and be observing and looking for people.
Yeah. And I also look for people who are strong where I am weak. If I notice a character, like something about them, and I go, they do that really well, and that's something I struggle with. My circle is small as well, but every one of them is intentionally picked because I've seen strengths in them that I do not, that I have, or maybe I don't have, but it's something that needs to be definitely grown and not easier if somebody else can be there for me to observe. Yeah. Instead of trying to grow that on my own.
Well, I think one thing that requires though is to become self-aware. So in self-awareness, there's lots of things you can do that help you understand yourself better. So first of all, we have our life story. So I have two older sisters who I adore, and I have a brother who's 14 months older than I. And he died when I was 10. And he had Down syndrome, and he was 11. And it was devastating. It was just devastating. I grew up in a really, really great family, and I'm grateful for, but it was hard. It was really hard. I developed an eating disorder. I had anorexia, and then I became bulimic, and, it's just not been easy. But I'm grateful for, 3 days after my brother's funeral, I met a wonderful man named Heno Head, who had a Christian camp in Southwest Missouri called Camp Soaring Hawk. You would know it now as Camp Barnabas. And I had a crush on the camp director's son since I was 10 years old. That was 50 summers ago. And we've been married 37 years.
Yeah. So
you don't know. Hayden often says to me, sometimes we don't know when the worst thing turns out to be the best thing, and the best thing turns out to be the worst thing. How many people have you read about who win Powerball, or they win some unbelievable amount of money, and 3 years later, the money's either gone or they're not speaking to their family members?
It's so true.
It probably wasn't the best thing.
It's so true. That's so good. Well, okay, so the pressure that women carry to get it all right. But there's also a pressure that we can feel to say yes to everything. Because if we don't say yes, we're going to miss an opportunity. And there is a feeling like opportunity, if we don't take this now, the ship is going to go, we're done, the journey's over.
Yeah.
And so we will juggle 20 plates just because we don't want to be missed. And the pressure is so unbelievably real. The burnout is so unbelievably real. What would you say to women who are experiencing this, who are tired, who are juggling it all, who are facing a decision? And I don't want to sound like I am hating on men. I'm really not. But I am going to say this, who are facing a decision, but if I don't say yes to the extra meetings over my children's extracurriculars, or over going to lunch with my child and sitting in the cafeteria with them, because if I don't say yes and I don't put my children's stuff to the side, so-and-so is going to get the promotion over me,
I'm so glad you asked me this question. So my father used to say that I have misophonia. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to say yes to everything. And one of the things, so I used to work for a gentleman named Gary Smalley, who was a marriage and family author and speaker.
Yeah.
And then I worked for his son, Greg Smalley, in something called the National Institute of Marriage. It's now called Hope Restored, and it's moved under the Focus on the Family umbrella. They have an intensive program that is 5 couples for 4 days with 2 therapists. And I was working in the sales and marketing, and so I went on an intensive to observe. It was life-changing.
Really?
For me. Wow. It was so incredible. But here's one of the things I learned that I was like, that is so true. If I were to ask Hayden, hey, do you want to go to the so-and-so's house for a cookout? They're having some people over, and he'd just go, no. But if someone called me and said, hey, do you want to do this and that? I'd go, oh, I would love to. Gosh, I wish I could say yes, but I've got so much going on and I can't. We just like word vomit.
Yeah.
When we have to say no.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me because we don't want to disappoint. We don't want to miss an opportunity. I think that, you teach people how to treat you. And one of the things I've had to learn, because my husband recharges by being alone and reading, and he loves people, but I mean, he recharges that way. I recharge by being with people.
Okay.
And so I can just absolutely wear him out.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going and doing all the time. So what I had to learn is saying something's got to give. So our daughter, Lainey, we have 2 children, who's a professional photographer down the Fayetteville area. He goes by Henry now. And our daughter, Lainey, both are married. We love, love, love our in-law children. Yeah. When Lainey was born in Russia, and Hayden and I adopted her when she was just shy of her first birthday. So when we got home and we moved to the Branson area, I was sort of interested in going to work, but I just decided I've already missed a year of her life. I just don't want to miss anymore. So we made the choice that I would stay home, but I still had my hands in lots of, things in the community and those kinds of things. But I think, first of all, I also realized years later, if I say yes to every opportunity, I might be taking that opportunity from somebody else who could do it better than I could. So I feel like I've shifted in my life from striving to a season where I want to mentor because I love what I'm doing now. I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't want to do anything else. I love, love, love being at College of the Ozarks. But there is that temptation. So one of the things I tell students who come and see me who feel anxious, and they're just saying, I don't know what to major in. I sort of like this boy. I don't know if I should marry him. There's lots of questions in that season of life. And so I just let them get it all out. Yeah. And then I just remind them, you can tie yourself up in a knot if you want to, but the Lord already knows. He already knows the plans he has for you. It may not look like anything you can see right now, but he knows the plans he has for you. So I had to learn how to balance the desire to say yes with my own self-care, and we could talk about that for a long time. Self-care, when I worked on the intensive program, one of the things they said was taking good care of yourself is in the best interest of all parties involved. So they gave this word picture, and I've used this in some talks that I've given. I used to bring a big wooden barrel with me with a big ladle. And I just said, they're the barrels like at Silver Dollar City.
Yeah.
The big ones. And so if you were to fill up that barrel and never dip out of it, what do you think would happen to that water? It would become stagnant.
Yeah.
And you can't drink it. And if you fill up that barrel and you take that ladle and you say, yes, I'll do that. I'll be on that committee. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll make cookies. I'll do a vacation Bible school, whatever it is. Pretty soon, your barrel will be empty. And we cannot give from our emptiness.
I think, too, this is from my personal thought that I'm going to give you and see what you have to speak to it, because I know I'm not alone in this. But when you do so much, you feel like there has become an expectation. And it's like you have to keep up with that expectation. And if I start to say no, or if I start to shy away and kind of close down a little bit in order to start that self-care, in order to start pouring back into myself, I think for me, there is this thought that, well, two things. Like you said earlier, it's okay to say no and not over-explain. But for me, it's like that, okay, but now there's this expectation and there's different things happening like that we talked about earlier. And it's like, it's time for me to close down a little bit. It's time for me to kind of go in a little bit. But there is that fear. Two things. What if I'm forgotten? What if I no longer can live up to this expectation that I am available for people? What if people... And it's not that I'm not available, but what if people go, well, she's supposed to care for people. That's her. And it's like, I do still care, but I also have my family and I need to come back a little bit. I need to, So, and I know I'm not the only female. I'm not the only person who struggles with that. So what would you say to, I don't know if it's really insecurity thoughts, or I'm sure you can put better words to it, I
think that a couple of things to end the illustration about the barrel. When you fill up a barrel and you dip out, and you dip out, you dip out, and you pause and you refill your barrel and you dip out, you dip out, you dip out, that's the freshest water. And I speak to the nursing seniors every year and I implore them, what is it that fills your barrel? What is it that you do? Is it running? Is it listening to music? Is it cleaning out a closet? Is it, lying on the beach? Is it taking a nap? What is it? Because you better get those in your tool belt now. Because when you start to feel yourself get short with people around you, it's time to do that. Taking good care of yourself is in the best interest of all parties involved. The other thing that really occurred to me in this wanting to help, feeling bad if I didn't, Jesus did not heal every single person he saw. And he, many times throughout Scripture, it says, got away by himself to be with the Father. So if Jesus was needing a little downtime, what in the world are we thinking?
Yeah.
Come on. Years ago, I read a book called Women Who Do Too Much. This may resonate with some of your listeners. It certainly made a profound impact on me as I was in the doing hair on fire mode of my life. And it told this story about a woman. I think her husband was on staff at a church. They were opening their house morning, noon, and night to every small group, couples group. I mean, it was non-stop. And some couples were coming over that night. She was cooking some cookies yet again. Her husband wasn't home yet. And she opened the door and let people in, and she just walked out the back door.
Wow.
And she lived near a beach. So she was walking along the beach, and she was telling the Lord, Lord, I am doing so much for you. Look at these committees. Look at these small groups. Look at all of these things that I'm doing for you.
Yeah.
She was mad.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt a small, still voice just in her spirit say, you're not doing them for me.
Mm.
You're doing it for you.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
And I needed to take a good, hard look at myself and think, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel compelled?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I worried that people are going to think I'm no longer relevant, I'm not here, I don't care, whatever?
Mm.
What about that?
Yeah.
Do I need to take a look at and go, what's really motivating me here?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So what are the things that refill your barrel? Everyone needs to think about those things and implement them because you'll be a much better friend, mother, daughter, spouse, employee if you can do that.
Mm-hmm. And it's very true. I genuinely get joy from serving.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal. And this is what I've noticed. Genuinely get joy from serving when I am spread thin, when I am juggling all those plates. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, I still want to serve. That's it. And that's actually part of my downfall is I juggle. And I was talking to somebody about this. People who really like to serve, their downfall is serving because they can't. But here's the thing. This is what I've noticed. I am not effective serving people when I am tired.
Your barrel's empty.
It is. And so it's like, okay, I love to do that, but I'm only half present for that person.
Yeah.
So am I actually of help?
Yeah.
If I'm only half present? Am I actually of help if I can only start making half the commitments? I'm not of help. It's actually, you said a little bit ago about, is there somebody else that
could do it?
And I immediately in my head, there's something a decision that I have to make. And I'm like, oh, it's right there. You just hit the nail on the head. Yes, I can do this. Would I be good at it? Yes, I would be good at it. But would I be effective at it with everything right now? Probably 50%.
Yeah.
And is there somebody who can be 100%?
Yeah.
And that's, you hit the nail on the head. And I think that's exactly it, is I am not the end all be all. And there are other people out there.
Yeah.
And it is part of that, going back to feeling like you're going to miss opportunities, feeling like sometimes in that workspace thing, some of it for me is, but God, I don't want to miss out on something that I should be doing. If it's in your will, I don't want to miss out. Like, God, what if you have and then there's that for me too, and I'm like, but wait, your intention also is not for me to be like this.
Yeah.
So there's, again, that perspective shift, but it is somewhat, it's a hard pill to swallow.
Well, it is. But again, earlier you were talking about, it's really being self-aware. If I agree to bring 5 baked goods for the whatever at the wherever, and I'm just a crab to everybody in my family.
Yeah.
People may go, hey, thanks for bringing all those yummy cookies. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I left a mess in my kitchen because.
Yeah.
So what does it say to our family members? This is a really good one to think about, I think. What does it say to our family members when we turn down opportunities because our time with them is more important, or they need you? What does that say to the people you love?
Because I think that's a really good point. I think a lot of, people who do serve ministry, nonprofit, anybody who has, I do think that is a big reason why their children tend to go so far opposite, because they saw something very different at home than what that adult was doing. I got to that point this last year. I was like, I'm doing all this and my family is getting the absolute back end of me. And I did an internal, wait a minute. I redefined leadership, because I went, leadership is nothing if I am not able to lead in my home first.
Yeah.
If my kids, that's my life. That's my journey. That's my forever. These things that I do now can end in a moment. And I really had to sit long and hard and do an internal heart check and go, wait a minute. These are who I am responsible first and foremost. And so I just had to do a whole life shift, and I just turned all sorts of decisions, and that's how I move forward now, is how is this going to affect my family? And you're right. So anyway, you're so right.
Well, one of the things an illustration that we use at the School of the Ozarks, Dean Brad Dollop, who's head of the school, is an extraordinary communicator, but when it reopened in 2012, he used this illustration. He said, we want you to be so good at what you do that you earn a place at the table of influence. But always remember, the most important place is your family's dinner table. Because leadership is influence. So we have to weigh that also. It's not easy. And I've done it wrong so many times. So many times. But each time I had to think, how could I have done that better?
And make the decision to do it better. And I hope you, as you all are hearing this, I hope you're hearing this as, okay, they learned, they processed, they did it differently, so that you're not beating yourself up.
Oh my goodness.
You're not, because I think that's one of the things that I would always go, well, I didn't do it right. Now it's, that's life. And so what we're talking about here is, one, to normalize things, to normalize the human experience that we have, but to also give the perspective that there is another way.
Yeah.
And just because we do something one way doesn't mean that's how we have to continue. And to give yourself grace when you do that internal reflection that can feel icky and can feel very uncomfortable, but to give yourself grace as you do that internal reflection and shift gears to go into growth.
Well, I will confess that when my children were very young, they're 28 and 31 now, but when they were very young, my core fear is failure. And it seemed like motherhood was so easy for everybody. I just didn't feel like it was for me. I don't know why, but I just felt that way. And so in order to not feel like a failure, I went to things that I could be really good at. And I'll never get that time back. Now, my kids are amazing, and Hayden and I are so proud of them, and I love spending time with them now. But I was really struggling, and my core fear, when our button gets pushed, we tend to do things to alleviate that feeling. And so I look back now and think, gosh, I wish I had been more intentional. I wish I'd spent more time. I wish I had made some different decisions. But you know what? All I can do is learn from it.
Yeah.
Share it on here. Maybe somebody won't make the same mistakes that I made.
Yeah.
But it's not the easiest. And if you're a mom that stays home, or a mom that carries the load, you got a tough job, especially in today's culture and climate.
Yeah. And your influence, I'm going to add to that, your influence is everything.
Yeah.
Just a mom who is not a stay-at-home mom is no different, no better.
No.
A stay-at-home mom's influence is so valuable and so important. And I really, if you are a stay-at-home mom listening to this, I want you are valuable. You are valuable.
And it's a hard job.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Either way.
It is. Yes.